Post. Jennifer. Chris. All right, I missed some. Whoever's next, post.
And they're coming, that's right.
There you go. See, as long as they're well trained, just falls in.
And we're here to wrap up almost the last chunk, and that's that we've covered here, and that's the logic model. It's certainly not the end because we have a whole other 2 weeks to go. But one thing to remember is all the great tools we have. And so if you turn to page
79.
That way, because you're not going to remember all of this, you know, every time. Hopefully this dynamic presentation has helped you. But if not, you have your book. And there's, like they pointed out in the beginning, there's all those nice little cheating points along the line. But I'm going to kind of do an overview, and Chris is going to kind of point out some of the talking points along the line that fall in with that. But one of the things about, actually I feel like the logic model is the easiest and most logical place to wind up. And I'm going to bring this back and center here for a second. Because everything that everybody's already covered is what's already in the logic model. And that is, number one, out here is, there's all my pieces and parts here. Number one is all of this. It's all the community definition, history, needs assessment. That's where you get a lot of that from. It all feeds into this first part right here, into helping identify this. The second part goes into your, where's my other cheat sheet? Hold on. Where's the other list of the parts? Oh well, okay. Anyways, so this part is called what, Chris?
That's your problem statement.
Yes, your problem statement. You got your problem statement from looking at all your history, which was the first part where it was reviewed. The second part
is your root causes. And you've done this work already. We're just painting the picture, bringing all these parts together and making it logical, making it move.
And all of this, all your history, all this part one really folds into part two. So as you're doing your graphs, a lot of the things, all these different exercises that you can do with your community, everything that you pulled out of your history, all this conversation is going to pour into all these different activities, all this information that you've already kind of started pulling out of the process. And then that's going to lead to
local conditions.
Part three. And that is digging just a little bit deeper with that. And this is the third part of the logic model, your local conditions. The thing about a logic model is it needs to be specific. It needs to be identifiable. It needs to be actionable. And that's what we just spent some time, everybody just went through that process either today or this morning, and that is, are these things specific, identifiable, and actionable? Are they something that we can then take to that next step that we'll talk about in the future and in week 2, and that is about your interventions, all the things out here. And the other thing, though, to understand is the linear logic. And that is that if we take care of these things, it'll take care of these things, and it'll take care of this.
And you can plug in data. You've been collecting this data. You've got lots of data. You can plug this in here to make it so that you can see how it is logical, how it does flow through, and so you don't end up with things that don't work or that come to ends that are unintended.
And like they said in the first part, CADCA had said, is that a lot of communities will start out here on this side of it. They'll start with over here with knowing that there is a consequence, and then they want to jump over all of this and come out here. But would it still be linear if you were to follow some of these interventions and try to take it back to see if it would really address that issue? And that might be a good way to take that back to your communities, to say, when people say, hey, let's do that prom party, or hey, let's do that, an intervention before you've done this part, stop for a minute and see, does this intervention follow back through, and will it really go back and address and take care of those, take care of the root causes and take care of the consequences that your community is most concerned about?